Welcome back to the LEC studio. SK Gaming versus G2 Esports is our next matchup. What better way to build up for this than some confetti or spaghetti with Medi and Vedi. Listen, everyone in chat, be sure to join us by spamming your pick in chat, confetti or spaghetti. Now, some of you may be confused as to what the hell is going on, but how could we not have some fun here on the Analyst desk as we've got Medi and Vedi? So Medi, are you ready for confetti or spaghetti with Medi and Vedi?
Yeah, also, if at home you're wondering what on earth is about to happen, is this or that, but LEC?
No,
okay?
This is original content that you've never seen before. Okay, but confetti is on Medic's side.
This is confetti.
Spaghetti is on my side.
And you write whichever one you would pick in the situation.
In the
Let's
chat,
get to slide one, Betty.
Slide one. Would you rather have Ezreal, a WoW champion that plays League, or Wunder, a League champion that plays WoW? Medic, you're a fellow world champion. What do you think?
Well, I have to go with the world champion. Us world champions, we actually have a secret club where we meet up together, and if you have a world record or a world championship, you are allowed into the club. Of course, you wouldn't know much about that. So I mean, I'm a confetti fan here, Betty.
You're a confetti fan?
You can see as well. Cut this guy out.
Cut my face
this man out. This guy and this guy, we're together, man. Teamwork.
So you're saying that a WoW champion that plays League is more useful than
He also casts.
a LoL champion that plays WoW.
He can't even win the LEC. He casts MSI champion.
True, he did. He was at the MSI final. He was
not. There we go.
Kevin, do I have an update on what chat was saying? Kevin.
Is it confetti or spaghetti,
Remember, chat,
Kevin? You gotta type.
Kevin can overrule you. It is spaghetti.
No!
They chose Wunder over Ezreal. Chat clearly has no idea what they're talking about.
Chat is biased. Chat is G2 biased.
Nice chat. Nice G2 bias. All right, let's jump into slide two. Best autofill jungler, Treatz or Bwipo?
Okay, I think we're going to hand this one over to you, Vedi. You are the analyst of the two of us.
I am the analyst. That is true. Is he holding a scuttle?
It's Thresh Lantern.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. All right, well, given that SK are playing today, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna
play today, Vedius.
I meant now, okay?
He's only been here for 4 years,
Listen,
guys.
Treatz, I think,
confetti or spaghetti?
Is worse. I'm going with spaghetti. I'm going with Bwipo.
You're going with
Bwipo? I'm going. So chat apparently. Chat's going with spaghetti.
Well, yes, all
right. So it's a lot of spaghetti today on the side of chat. Do you have a confetti or spaghetti?
I would have to go with confetti. Your supports have to sit together. Once again, it's a camaraderie thing more than anything else.
So it's bias.
Yeah.
Right, got it. All right, let's go on to slide three. Most likely second career option. Caps as smoothie maker or Mickey as a food truck owner. Confetti or spaghetti, Medic?
Do they have to be successful in their careers?
I mean, define success. Could it be happiness, perhaps?
I mean, happiness is the true success, and it's the friends we've made along the way, etc., etc.
That's why we're not successful,
exactly,
right?
But he didn't even know how to make orange juice.
True.
Right? And he's making a donut with a piece of bread.
I have just noticed that he is, in fact, making a donut
bread. I mean,
with a...
I do know pro players, and that's about the extent of their cooking skills. True. It's yours as well, actually.
I mean, when I asked Mickey for a Mickey special kebab, this must be what he was offering me.
Some ketchup and some spaghetti.
Yeah. All right, then I'm going to go with confetti. I'm with you.
Okay, we're going confetti today. What's this chat saying, Kevin? Hit us up.
Confetti. Okay, so chat, remember that Kevin may be overruling you. So if you feel that Kevin is not accurately representing what you believe, you can spam Kevin Pepe Hands in chat to make sure that he knows that you are being overruled. Right, let's jump into our final slide. Who got the better deal, G2 or C9?
Okay.
Ooh, confetti or spaghetti?
He didn't have a transfer fee. Spaghetti was free in this situation.
Oh, so you're looking at it from a business angle.
Well, it's a deal. What's the deal?
I mean, winning is also part of the deal.
No, but it's a cost-benefit analysis, right?
Yeah, but you're sitting here saying that, okay, so they got Rekkles at a lower cost than
Yes, and so the benefit is they didn't win 100%.
Perks did win.
He did, and then he went to MSI.
And then they went to MSI.
And they did
but then they did lose to Pentanet.
Yeah, that's my point. He channeled his inner G2 at MSI.
That is true.
He didn't even get a chance to have his vacation, so he skipped that era of his G2 life
you're
cycle.
going with quite a rational argument there.
I mean, I usually do.
I mean,
Also, I'll put this one out here. G2 have been dabbling in, hot tub streams, etc. I would prefer Rekkles hot shot stream to a Perks option.
Apparently, all of chat is saying Kevin Pepe hands.
Kevin Pepe hands!
Kevin, you overall god. Chat is not being fairly represented. All right, chat, listen, I know that a lot of you are Rekkles fans, so I already know that it's going to be spaghetti.
100% is spaghetti.
Okay, well, this has been the first installment of Confetti or Spaghetti with Medi and Vedi. We hope you've enjoyed it. Here in the LEC Super Week, the action continues with Game 4 of the day, G2 versus SK. Take it away, Drakos.
They're not paying any attention. Come on, guys.
They say, I just need to be clear. Chat, please let me know. Did we all just share a hallucination, or was that an actual segment for...
I was half asleep, then I heard, Mom, spaghetti, and I woke up again.
I mean, it was unclear to me what... I'm really confused. I was not... Okay.
There doesn't have to be a reason for that segment. There doesn't have to explain.
It was great. I had to
confirm
just that I didn't imagine that in my brain.
No, you didn't. It was really...
Not a shared fever dream.
Actually,
all right.
It's questionable.
Good content. Sometimes the reality is stranger than fiction. That's how we do it here. Anyway, you may believe it or not.
Wait, if we did confetti spaghetti, are you confetti or my spaghetti? What do you prefer?
I'll
take confetti.
All right. Mark.
Kevin says I'm confetti.
I'm spaghetti.
Kevin's just, okay. Kevin, I'm confetti.
I'm Pepe hands. Vote for Draco. Okay. Apologies to all of the League of Legends enthusiasts. We're going to get you back on track now. It is time for the penultimate game in Week 1. We really love that word, penultimate. Next to last. Next to final. SK Gaming versus G2 Esports. Now, it's hard to know what to expect from this game. SK, it was a bit of a heartbreaker yesterday, even though they had a really impactful Gwen on the side lane. Ultimately, a bit of a catastrophic flank cost them pretty dearly. 2Hours, though, has been a pleasant surprise. And for G2 Esports, it felt like they were winning right up until Wunder got completely and totally blasted individually in that top lane 1v1 matchup versus Broken Blade. Sjokz, of course, taking a massive upset. So today, about resetting for both of these lineups, trying to find a win.
Yeah, and Wunder was the one that opted into that top matchup, right? They last pick set into the Nocturne top. Didn't work out so well. Broken Blade got the better hand of him, and he was very far behind. I think G2 did have the Infernal Soul and stuff like this, so it looked like they could perhaps win, but in the end, they could not. So, new game. We'll see what happens here. As we see the bans come through, the Akali already taken away, which I think EU Akali has just been the name of the game here in day 3, because people are just first picking it now. So you can see the meta shifts coming in for Europe themselves, and that one's already taken off the board. Thresh, Lulu, very common bans coming out here. Champions you're looking at now are things like Udyr Rumble, Viego. And we even saw Treatz on the Lilia yesterday. I think he got banned out a lot, and being a new player to the role swapping, obviously your champion pool in the jungle will be a lot smaller, so he was getting pinched quite heavily there. I would love to see SK early rotate their jungle for Treatz.
I would as well. Frankly, the Lilia obviously can have some impact, but in general just feels like a much lower tier option. Rumble is going to be the final ban here. And Jenax, of course, always hovering the Aphelios so far this season. Maybe we can ask him in an interview what the context is, but Ezreal feels like a much safer, much overall smarter choice in the current meta. Some options up on the side of G2 Esports. You already mentioned the Viego, also pick of the litter of the remaining junglers here, and G2 have prioritized it and have already flexed the Viego. 1 win, 1 loss for the team overall. Cap's not able to find it there in the mid lane. Wunder has succeeded on it in the top side.
Yeah, that's the Viego Udyr first rotation that we'd expect with such powerful champions open. You don't really need to pick your AD carry when you're drafting against the team and they first pick an AD carry. You're not really forced to pick yours. You can pick it on 3. You can even go 4-5. There's lots of options open. Things like Tristana, Kai'Sa, we even saw a Jhin last game. So I don't think they're sweating too much in that front. Just pick the OPs. That's basically what the early stage of the draft is. And Renekton actually got to the draft there. So SK might want to pick that one up. You want to really pair that with an AP jungler, and Rumble's already down. Things like Nidalee could be a good option, but it just depends on whether Treatz has played it. That's the thing with role swapping. He's only really been a jungler for around 3 to 4 weeks, so maybe his champion pool isn't as big as we'd expect, but they aren't actually going to pick jungle in the first rotation, just going to secure a powerful bot lane of Ezreal, Leona, and now G2 have the option. Do we pick a top laner to match the Renekton? Do we keep the Viego flex, or do we pick AD or support? I think picking something like the support here could be good, and then leaving AD to a 4-5, but we'll have to see what grabs the sides.
Definitely are some options. I like that SK have the confidence to leave up jungle pool to get pinched a little bit more. Looks like we might get the run back on the Tristana performance from Rekkles yesterday. Obviously a bit of a tough loss for G2. Still only week 1, but maybe Rekkles looking for a bit of redemption, a bit of a stronger performance today. Obviously had some highlight team fights and some moments where we felt like maybe 1 or 2 autos more, and he could have been a difference maker for G2.
Yeah, especially on that Elder Dragon fight when he got the jump over and managed to take down one of the members, and lots of members were quite low. But he actually didn't decide to go into the all-in fight. He kind of flashed over the wall. His team lost the fight, they lost the Elder Dragon. Maybe he could have cleaned up a little bit more against Sjokz, but that didn't happen. He's going to run it back. There's Tristana banning out Lilia, which is what Treatz did play, so he's definitely going to get pinched here. 2 jungle bans, you'd expect 2 AP jungle bans coming out of G2 to make sure that Renekton isn't as powerful as they might want it alongside an AP jungler, but that Renekton still a flex mid, still a flex towards the top side. And mid lane bans coming in here for SK, because obviously the Viego flex. Tristana arguably a flex as well towards mid. Caps has played that before, but because of the Halo Blade nerfs, it's not really that prevalent in mid lane as it used to be. Lucian still as strong as it always is, but you need an AP jungler to pair that with. So I don't think both these teams will do it unless SK want to opt into it alongside an AP jungler on 4-5.
Still room for Twohoyrz to get his choice of control mage in the mid lane as well. SK set up for a potentially diverse damage profile in their composition. Definitely more difficult for G2 Esports. It does feel, kind of as you highlighted, Caedrel, like they are locked into an AP champion at this point. And with Silas and TF both taken off the board, it's going to be a little bit more limited here. Akali banned out as well. So see what the option here is for G2 Esports. Who are they going to give last pick to? Will it be Mikyx just opting to match the Leona here? Or are they going to save counter pick to try to see what Mikyx can do to counter the composition holistically? Yeah. But Braum will be the lock-in here.
Braum you'd expect really good into Leona. Braum's really good into these aftershock supports because they have to commit, and when they commit into fights, things like Leona, Alistar, Rel, Braum can obviously turn the fight, because when that support jumps in, you can pop up the shield, defend the damage coming from the AD, land the auto-attack passive, and then you can turn the fight with the stun. So that's why Braum's so prevalent aftershock supports. And there's like this big circle of supports. So we have the aftershock supports, get countered by things like Braum and Tahm Kench, and then things like Rakan are good into things like Braum, Tahm Kench. So there's like a trifecta going on, and they have picked up the Braum. So Tristana Braum will be a very powerful bot lane for G2, lacking a little bit of AP damage, so I would love to see that Viego go towards the top side and pick a mage here for Caps in the mid lane, but that's in Nidalee. We talked about AP junglers, and Twohoyrz might want to go for the Lucian again. He had success on it yesterday, and he does need a little bit of prior in this lane if he's going to play with a Nidalee Renekton, something that can push in and move towards sides. As I say that, he locks in the Orianna, which he did play first game of the split. Did have a lot of comfort on that, and it gives them a lot of AP late game scaling. The thing is, when you opt into double AD solo laners and an AP jungler, your scaling tends not be as good. Because you rely on that single source of AP. So the Orianna just makes it so the late game is a little bit easier. But now Caps does get the counter pick on last pick. We'll see what he goes for. He's against a double AP mid jungle. The casting was hovered, but I doubt we'll see that. And I think that Viego will go towards the top side by the looks of it.
Surprisingly reserved here, coming in with the Viktor choice. Makes a decent amount of sense. Viktor Orianna, something that we're very much used to seeing. But I think the bigger question on my mind right now, Caedrel, is Treatz Jenax, Nidalee Renekton. It's a combo that's been around for a very long time, one that we haven't seen really be very popular in EU or banned out when it was at its most popular. Now to see what Treatz can do here, because Nidalee not a very forgiving jungler. Lilia yesterday, yeah, you fall behind, you're always going to have the luxury of a bit of CC, a bit of impact in the team fights. You fall very far behind on Nidalee, you are just a walking attack speed steroid for the Ezreal, so could be pretty rough.
Yeah, and with the Orianna Viktor locked in, when you have this control mage mid lane matchup, as resident sleeper as it might feel, it just makes it so both these team comps are all about team fighting. Yes, Viego and Renekton can play over sides, and playing towards top lane is where you'd expect Treatz to go for the Renekton in the early stages. There's just lots of team fight on both these teams, so we'll expect to see lots of Drake fights, and getting your carries ahead is the name of the game, because I think having that extra range on things like Viktor and Tristana, or even things like the Orianna, could be very beneficial as the game progresses. So early action towards the top side, maybe towards the bot side with the Braum, but then I expect most of it to be around the carries.
Yeah, and it's time now for SK versus G2 Esports.
Tom, thank you for joining me. I want to talk about the draft you chose against G2 here. You decided to leave Viego open for them to take it. What do you think about the pick, and why were you confident into leaving this champion open here?
Honestly, we know it's something they can flex, we know it's something they play, so it's highly likely they're going to pick it if it's open, but we feel comfortable with the champions we have and the champions we're willing to play into it, and everyone's confident in the matchups themselves and the limits the champion has, so we're okay to play against it.
All right, well, let's see how this draft plays out for you. Good luck on the game against G2, and thanks for the interview.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Lore, for that insight into the draft. Viego, of course, going to continue, I imagine, to be a hot topic here in the LEC, as he's the champion with a bit mixed results, a bit mixed impact, can feel incredibly powerful, can also feel very underwhelming. Bit feast or famine from what we've seen so far. We'll see how Wunder handles this lane matchup. Now, we're going to focus and start off focusing on the top lane here, Caedrel, not because the jungle matchup is probably more important here in the early game, but because yesterday top lane was so absolutely defining for G2 Esports, and sadly for them, not in a good way. Wunder on set into the Nocturne yesterday. Very good matchup for Broken Blade, you can see, but uncharacteristic of Wunder to fall incredibly far behind. He was functionally useless for the vast majority of the game, and now we're looking for him to have a better performance up against Jenax with two incredibly powerful champions here on the top side.
Yeah, massive props to Broken Blade in that matchup, because you have to assume, like we said before, Wunder opted into the matchup first of all. He got solo killed, was forced to flash away, both in 1v1s, and Broken Blade saved TP throughout the whole laning phase. So Wunder, all the odds kind of, yeah, not in his favor really. Didn't play the matchup as well, and he did fall behind. So we'll see if G2 wants to play towards the top side to get him ahead. Jankos is pathing up there, and so is Treatz. Now, important thing to note that we might have missed in the early stages, SK actually used 3 of their wards, their warding trinkets, level 1, because they were scared of a Braum invade. Now, Braum, super powerful early invader, level 1 with a Tristana Udyr next to her. It's pretty much a guaranteed winning 3v3. So SK covered that off, G2 didn't opt into it, and both of these junglers are pathing topside.
And I like the respect given to the level 1. We've seen so many of them, usually in the Vitality games. We saw one from Sjokz earlier today. Finding those early first bloods is massive, especially when we have so many strong solo lane champions who can swing matchups very quickly with just a little bit of gold or a little bit of XP. Checking in now, though, on the mid lane. Twohoyrz doing his best to hold his own against Caps. Always a bit difficult to trade against Viktor in the early game. His Q is just such an impressive ability for short trades.
Yeah, normally what happens in this matchup is the Orianna opts into the E level 1 to negate the Q auto attack from Viktor, and then she tries to push the lane, get the Q, and then chunk him out from range. But in this case, Caps actually has the Comet, so in the 1v1 trades is winning out, doesn't have something like the phase rush like Twohoyrz does. So in the lane phase itself, with things like the Comet and perhaps the Scorch, which he might be running, he does win out. But Jankos first his crab, and he has Smite. Treatz might want to contest it though.
4 versus level 4.
He got it, I think. Treatz just stole it straight from him. He didn't even have anything on the crab to secure it himself. No bonus damage. He just saw it get low and he just secured it for himself. And bot lane's trading aggressively as well. Mikyx and Rekkles getting pushed back a little bit here by SK.
And certainly a solid start now for Treatz to get that one. The timing there flawless, finishing the camp just in time. And now fighting for the second crab. Jankos, of course, incredibly low. Does have Smite of his own this time around. Treatz does not have it. We'll have to try to finish this one. So we'll just be 1 for 1 on the crab trade. But both junglers now pushed down to the bottom side of the map.
Rekkles just jumped in there and Jezu had to E away. So G2 having to push in top and bot. Wunder trading really aggressively on Jenax. Very different from yesterday, where now he has his opposition top laner under tower and will force him to back off. But luckily Jankos gets that bot crab. No bot prior to contest it, and now he's healthy and he's around mid. Twohoyrz pretty low here.
Jankos stepping forward, still has the flash. Hasn't really given up too much yet despite losing that early crab. Ward going down on for Twohoyrz. The flash forward, now walking forward, making sure he can make his way out. Twohoyrz though, still in the... But he's going to go down. Flash? No. Maybe Scuttle Crab movement speed might just be enough.
E here.
Renekton also on the way in. 2Hours now zooming forward. That's the distance. 2Hours going to make it out.
Yeah, really unfortunate there for Jankos. Didn't get the killing blow, and the Scuttle Crab speed, like you said, is what saved him alongside the W. Does get the movement speed. The slow comes through. He'll base. He doesn't have TP though, so Caps will be able to push this in and base himself. But normally when you see the Udyrs go for these early ganks, forcing out the flash is not the worst thing, because when Jankos gets that smite with the Nimbus Cloak, he can come back with boots and maybe look for a regank alongside Caps, who actually doesn't have flash. He must have used that earlier on. Don't think we saw that, and that's maybe why he didn't flash forwards to get that secure. I think he did have the range for the flash E, but he didn't actually have the flash up.
And Caedrel, while we have a moment here, I do want to highlight the performance of 2Hours so far. Remember, this guy is subbing in, Blue out for medical reasons. And this is a player who has consistently surprised, I think, just about everyone. 0 deaths at 15. I thought he might break that there on the early play, but just getting out by the skin of his teeth. And you can see small CS leads, good gold leads from the kills that he is getting usually in the early game alongside decent XP leads. So for a man who was subbed in, a man who did not expect to play in this first week, 2Hours has been a really huge part of SK's stronger moments in this first week.
Oh yeah, definitely impressive performance these last 2 games. 3-0 on both champions, the Lucian and the Orianna. He's back on the comfort champ of the Orianna. I think comfort's the key when you're being subbed in at such a short notice. As Caps was flashed away, we saw that on the bottom left there. 2Hours forced his flash, and that's the reason he wasn't able to follow up for it. Getting the better hand of Caps in the early stages of the lane, you might argue.
Yeah. And glad you realized that was a replay. I thought we were about to cast a Caps solo bolo in real time. I would have looked very foolish. Thank you,
Caps
Caedrel.
solo bolo. I love it how that term has just gone across the world. The boss just
is
redefining
infamous.
League of Legends terms.
I can't help it. I don't even say joking anymore. I say yoking.
Yoking, weepy, yee yee.
Just too good, dude. Shout out to Simon. The boss is goated.
We'd love to have him on the LEC one day.
It would be super cool.
That would be really cool.
Even if we did have to cross his name off on that list.
Sad.
There was question marks though, maybe, who knows. Anyway, topside Treatz is here, Jenax is here. Wunder hasn't spotted this one quite yet. Now important to note, Viego level 6, obviously feels decent, but also acts as an escape here, so has a bit more defensive options if he does get collapsed on. That said, empowered stun. Feels like a one-shot, but Jenax really taking his time.
This wave is really bad for Wunder. He needs to crack it so he's gonna get ganked.
Dash through, stun, spear goes a little bit wide here. Unstoppable. Wunder now leaps out, he's back into the stealth. The movement speed is there, so they get Viego's ultimate, but not a whole lot else for a decent amount of time invested.
That was very confusing there from SK. Treatz just flashing forwards despite the spear missing. You don't really have that much damage without the passive landing. And then Wunder just ults away, the stun wasn't long enough, and now he's going to pay the price for it. Jankos just taking away his red buff. I think G2 might want to look for Dragon as well. And you can see Treatz on the minimap here, looking on the top side for some camps to steal away, for some kind of benefactor for losing the Dragon, but doesn't find anything. Maybe he just wants to re-gank top. He might jump over this wall. There's a ward in river, which he saw Wunder take earlier on when they had it warded themselves, and this wave is still pushing into Jenax. He has the Fury if he wants to look for the stun. And Treatz, if this doesn't work out, it would be a horror for him.
Dash, lead forward with the Spectral Maw. Spear's going to connect this time. Wunder can try to flash out to safety, and he is going to do so. Nidalee going to try to clean, but that's just enough healing. Ticking down, Treatz now leaping out. It's a disaster. The Spear not quite enough. Wunder is still alive. Heal coming in for Treatz. Wunder should still go down here, but maybe he can make it a 1-for-1. He continues to walk forward. He continues to threaten. Now going to leap forward with the Spectral Maw. A bit more damage, not nearly enough. Wunder a bit too confident there on the outplay.
Mid lane.
Now good damage. 2Hours going to drop in the mid lane. First death before 15 minutes. Jankos grabs that one.
Yeah, G2 go for the regank in mid. It makes sense after he lost the flash earlier on. And you saw on the minimap, on the bottom left, sorry, as that fight in top was happening, Caps was hard trading onto 2Hours to force the wave to crash. And 2Hours even used the shockwave to stop it from happening, because I think he knew a dive was on the cards. And Jankos makes sure that happens. He's a level up onto Treatz now. Maybe he can secure this one. He doesn't have smite and Treatz does, but Treatz doesn't have flash. So if he jumps forwards into a red buffed Udyr, that could be dangerous.
Ooh, gets another one.
Does a little style jump there to get the reset on the W and secures the blue buff. So Jankos losing out in the early stages on the smite fights. Didn't have it this time around, but he still loses out. But I think thankfully for SK, that top play worked out because he used so much time, Treatz did, on this top side, and it did actually work out in the end.
And it is a very big deal. We've talked about it already. Nidalee is a champion that can feel very, very impactful if she gets going in the early game. Hold that thought as Unbreakable comes out. Ulti now going to come down. Rekkles just going to heal, going to come out. It's going to be good damage. Ticking, burning, and is going to fall. Mikyx going to grab that kill. Bit of a head scratcher there. Total confidence from G2 not to panic.
I mean, Jesiz just tries to make the play happen, and the reason he does that is because he was level 6 and Mikyx was level 5 before that play happened. Mikyx leveled up from the kill, and he wanted to force the 2v2 all in before he did hit that level 6. In the end, he misses the E, and then he just tries to force the engage because Rekkles has no flash. I think what he tried to do there was land the ultimate and then layer the CC with the Q, but didn't get the stun, and he ends up losing his life for that. So 2v2 kill on the bot side for G2, and in the end, G2 inching ahead in this early game.
Certainly are. And a little bit more than that even, as we're 10 minutes in now. They've gotten the Drake. No one has touched the Herald quite yet, but it is 1.3k in favor of G2. Sork's shoes coming out for Caps, just trying to make sure that he can trade a bit more effectively in this lane. And Jenax maybe can start to pull ahead here. Level 9 just around the corner. Of course, max rank and Q is going to feel very good in some of these trades. That said, Wunder seems unconcerned.
Yeah, just as you talked about, the Dragon's dead, Jesiz died as well, so may as well go towards the top side. Jezu was just going to catch the wave in base anyway, so he just runs towards the top side, joins up with Treatz. He started up the Herald. SK had the top push as well. You can see Jenax just going aggressively to make sure the wave goes towards Wunder so he can just leave the lane and move towards the river to help out his team on this Herald. But G2 doesn't look like they're going to give it up. You can see Jankos and Mikyx around, hard trading mid.
1-2 looking for 3 and 4. Can't find the final auto. They do. He's going to tick and burn. Excellent use of the ulti and the Braum passive there. G2 going to find another kill onto 2Hours mid.
That was really clean. I do think that SK picked up the Herald on the back half of that, but G2 net themselves a kill. So now Jankos is going to sprint towards the bot side because they saw Jesiz towards the top side. Maybe if they can get down there first, Jezu's going to have to back away. Jankos is going to look for a couple of camps, and they already have vision down here. So SK get themselves a Herald, but G2 in this mid lane, 30 CS up already for Caps and the kill.
Big differences here is it feels like when G2 make a play happen, they're finding the kill. SK have had a few fumbles. Top side weren't able to find the gank. Finally able to get that tower dive. Jesiz tries to go in bot lane. It turns against them, and now Jezu could be the one who's in trouble here. Rekkles, though, staying focused on the tower and the minions.
Really good transition of pressure from G2. They knew that Jesiz was on a Herald, so what they did was they took the short path through mid because they had to push into their jungle and made sure they could zone away Jesiz, but he's going in.
Flash forward, confidence. Unbreakable comes up just in time, but Mikyx will get burnt down here. Rekkles going to leap out to safety. Treatz in the area. Jankos going to need to back away, but a sidestep on the spear means there's not going to be any follow-up.
Mikyx no flash gets punished. Good identification there from Jesiz. And that's a kill on the bot side for SK. So, although Rekkles is up in CS because they denied the wave, and he did get 3 plates on the bot side while that was all happening, they do get themselves a kill in return. Maybe they can get some plates as well for themselves. They have the Herald too, so I'm expecting around 3 to fall before G2 can start answering back, and SK probably just have to back off.
Yeah. Herald dropped a bit early there to try to get it to crash at the same time as the wave means only a few plates going down, as those last ones are especially tanky.
Yeah, look at the gold. You can see there, if we could bring that back up, Rekkles was around 800 gold up, 700 gold up on Jezu and the level. So all that solo XP funneling into him. Jezu was actually having to share the plates with Jesiz and Treatz. So they do get themselves a little bit of gold, but Rekkles is quite far ahead on this Tristana already. Didn't get the kill in the 2v2, he got the assist, but SK might want to set up here. Rekkles.
CC. Spear lands from downtown. Rekkles now in trouble. The flash out to safety, the leap out as well. They're going to turn their attention back towards Mikyx. The knockup is there, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Mickey. Do they have the damage finish off? Flash forward, Mickey ticking, burning. Red Smite's going to be enough, and Treat's going to grab that one. Thumbs up on the way out.
Oh, feels good for the jungler. This has happened so many times to all the junglers across the world, but they just about died to the Red Smite. They do end up picking themselves up a kill. Rekkles, bit of a sloppy recall, you might ask yourself, but I think he thought that SK was in base. They set up the trap, and Mickey falls again. But look at G2 on the cross map. They see the jungler bot side, and they know Jenax is alone. This could be a 3v1 dive, but he has the ultimate, and the wave's dead, so I don't think they can go for it.
Well played by Jenax, instantly deleting the wave, stopping any kind of pressure or cross-map play from coming out there. And I think, again, Caedrel, the gold's starting to even up. G2 were 2k ahead moments ago. The bottom play putting SK just 1k in the difference now. And shout out to SK. A lot of those first few plays went wrong, but they keep trying to make these plays, and now it's starting to work out for them.
Yeah, and Treatz is forcing those plays. But Jankos is quite far ahead on this Udyr. 20 CS up. And he did get himself a kill. So he's been a driving factor behind the early game for G2. And I think when you see him on champions like Xin Zhao, he just looks a lot more comfortable on things like the Udyr that can make plays. As you can see here, he's having a decent showing, I would say, in the Super Week. Pairing up with Mickey a lot, going towards mid. The old classic of G2 of making sure Caps has the push and has the vision to work with. And Jankos can just use that pressure from mid with his support to transition to side lanes. Hasn't played so much towards the top side, but he's made sure the bot lane can get rolling. And he gets the Drakes rolling, which we've seen G2 do so well this week.
And iconic, I think, of the H2K era Jankos, H2K era Jankos as well, who was just the active ganker, the first blood king if we want to get deep into the narrative. But now the Drake going down as well, and Jankos feeling pretty comfortable. Good news, of course, for the side of SK is that while Jankos maybe pulls a little bit ahead in XP, pulling a bit ahead in farm, the 2 kills for Treatz are at least balancing that matchup out for now.
I think the big reason as to why he's not playing topside is Viego Udyr into Nidalee Renekton is quite a tough 2v2, so I think they just want to make sure Wunder is safe up in this topside. Dying once or twice here and there is not the worst if they can cross map on bot and get some plates or get a kill in mid and force pressure on other lanes, because especially when you have such a powerful 2v2 on the side of SK, G2, you don't really want to match the 2v2. You just want to cover it as much as possible, cut as much losses as you can, and make plays elsewhere. And that's exactly what they're doing.
And despite that, a successful first dive, really it doesn't seem like SK have put too much time up into the top lane since then. You can see some individual laning choices from both Wunder and Jenax, both aware of the respective healing of Bramblevest alongside the Executioner's calling. But now maybe the time that Treatz wants to return to the top side. That said, Mickey in the area. Concussive blows is a big deal here in these 2v2s.
This is exactly what we were just talking about, just making sure they can cover it. Mickey uses his time, because you look at bot lane, Rekkles just pushed in the wave and he's basing. So what does Mickey want to do? Is he just going to base with him and just help him push out these waves? No, he's absolutely safe. Let's run towards the top side and get some vision for Wunder to make sure he's not getting ganked again by the strong mid jungle and just covering all their bases. Mickey might have to be a bit careful here, because Treatz is the one with the majority of the gold in SK right now. Doesn't have his mythic just yet, but he's having a decent Nidalee performance so far. But Jankos is just power farming. He hasn't been looking for too many ganks, and he is getting himself quite far ahead. He's already up a level, and G2, I think, across the board, just up in XP and levels. Look at Caps, almost 40 CS ahead.
Yeah, Cap's certainly very comfortable. Obviously the beneficiary of a decent amount of attention and a very explosive mid lane matchup. So now TP comes bot lane. Wunder's going to be in the area. Eyes on the Spectral Maw. Where's the stun going to go? But waiting, just holding on for now. Goes invisible. He's going to lock up Jesiz. Easy chain CC there. Zenith Blade comes out, but the Gravity Field still catches him, and that's the pick onto Jesiz.
Yeah, Jesiz went in there and dropped the ward. I think he wanted his team to TP in and try to match the play to look for a turn. But I think they realized they're at a numbers disadvantage because Treatz is topside. 2Hours doesn't have TP. The only person that can join is Jenax, and that at best is a 4v3. So they end up falling. They get punished for trying to go for that bot tier 1. And our Rekkles will be the one to pick up the first tower of the game.
Solid positioning, going to take the wave as well, continue to push forward, and right after getting the Kraken Slayer too, so now can recall with a little bit of extra gold, try to buy something else, some component, as Jenax at least now gets a lot of free time on the top side. Individually, he's going to be feeling very good about that, but costing him a decent amount when the bot lane is getting further and further ahead.
Yeah, and although G2 is only really up 2,000 gold, the resources are where they need to be. Caps and Rekkles are the ones who are ahead. Jankos is just going to be this meat shield for the team, whereas on the S side of SK, Jenax is slightly ahead because of the tower and because of the CS lead. You can see on the gold itself, and Treatz is ahead. but Twohoyrz and Jezu are behind, and I think that's a big key factor when you look at where the resources are distributed. As we see G2 starting up this second Herald of the game, I expect that one to go towards mid lane. SK not really in time to contest because they've all just based together. They are running towards the top side though, so maybe they fancy themselves something, but I think they're just too late.
TP in the top lane as well coming in for Jenax, but Wunder already on top of Renekton and trading aggressively. Forcing him back for now. This could be second Herald, not nearly as impactful. Stun does manage to land onto Mikyx. He's going to try to use Wunder to leap back to safety as Jankos speeds his way out of there. Jesiz, no ultimate available. Are they going to commit? Treatz just does a ton of damage there. Level 10. Mikyx only level 7. They're chasing down Zenith Blade. Where's it going to go? Mikyx, they're not even going to give him the time to flash forward. The Shield of Daybreak. Ignite now ticking. Meanwhile, the mid lane, Rekkles is pushing forward, but it's Mikyx who's going down here on the top side. No, just barely managing to live.
Yeah, and he still has the flash, but look at the mid lane. G2 just pushing it in, taking the mid tier 1. What can SK get in response? They got themselves a kill, but G2 get out. They push in mid, they push in bot. SK, not only are they bleeding resources in terms of gold, but they're losing out on a lot of XP on these waves. You can see 2 just space to catch this wave. They push in top themselves. In the end, you'd argue just a net positive for G2 because they got the Herald, they got the mid tower, they got themselves more CS leads just for Wunder falling. Now, Treatz did a lot of damage in that burst, and that's the thing when the Nidalee gets set up with the Leona, with the Renekton. If someone can get CC'd, isolated, it's just going to be a quick one-shot. And G2 obviously didn't want to take that fight. Rekkles was mid, Caps was bot, they opted out of it, and Wunder was the one who fell.
And I think the big thing about the last two plays, Caedrel, is that they've taken both mid lane tower on the side of G2 as well as bot lane, which means this Dragon in 48 seconds, very easy for them to set up the necessary vision, look for this pick on Jesiz, poke him out, do the damage necessary, and find the kill because they control this side of the map. They have the vision. Jesiz a bit too confident there on the push in.
Yeah, and that's going to be the Dragon as well, you'd think, because Caps can push in bot now. Rekkles should be able to push in mid. SK have to look some kind of play in mid if they want to try to force this, because Jesiz being down means that they don't actually have any vision to play with. Treatz is trying to get some himself. Face checking bot side, it's Tristana Braum. Instant one-shot without the flash. Jankos loses out on the smite fight for the red buff. Not the end of the world. You'll have that for the Dragon. You can see Wunder's just dropping top waves because he has no TP and he's moving towards the Dragon as well. 5 members strong around this bot side of the map. What do SK want to trade for it? Do they want to try to find their way in here, or do they want to look for a cross map?
Wunder stepping forward, but has to be careful. We've talked about it already. Piece of CC lands. Treatz has the damage to try to finish a kill quickly. That could be what gives them an edge in this fight. But with the Herald now used bot lane, it's a pressure point that 2Hours is forced to respond to. G2 should shred through this quickly, but Jenax and Treatz are stepping forward. Jezu on the backside. Jezus nowhere to be found though. Now finally coming into the fight, but Treatz is just getting chunked out. He does a lot of damage, but he takes a lot of damage back in return. Not able to find a spear, just getting poked away by the Viktor. Uncontested Drake in the end picked up by G2. SK posturing like they might be interested in a re-engage, but opt to back out in the end.
That's what pro players like to call the cinema play. All you do is you just watch them take the objective and you get nothing for yourself. It's not really a great play. I mean, SK should have dropped that Dragon as soon as they saw 2Hours on their bot tier 2 without TP up. It just came up now, but he was never really going to be in that fight. So being at a vision disadvantage, a gold disadvantage, and trying to opt into a 4v5 on top of all of that, I think they should have just backed off and maybe looked for something elsewhere. But in the end, they do drop it. Is Twohoyrz going to let that tower die? So the tier 2 bot dies as well. I'm not sure if that was intentional there from 2Hours, but in the end, no one picks up the local gold, I guess, but the tower still falls, which means the waves will be pushed in deeper. And just look at the bot side of the map, you see G2 had so much vision and so much setup already. I think SK should have looked something. They are looking for something now. Maybe Wunder is the one who gets caught.
This play has worked once before. They've tried it certainly a few times. Stealth now coming out, but Wunder walking right into enemy territory. The ulti, of course, though, makes him unstoppable. Well used there.
Yeah, good reaction time. Now the TP's coming in here from Caps, and Jankos chasing down Jezu. There's a lot of fighting.
Just trying to distract Treatz, keep him out of the fight. Caps now running forward. Jesiz is very squishy. Goes back in onto Caps, though. 2Hours is in the area. Maybe they can shut down Caps. They just one-shot him. The shutdown is there, but now it is Treatz who's in trouble. Concussive blows ticking. There's no way Nidalee makes it out of that one. It's a 1-for-1.
That's the power of the Tristana Braum. If they can get that passive stacked up, Tristana does so much damage. First onto Jesiz earlier on, and now onto Treatz. It's a 1-for-1 overall. Jenax is the one who shuts down Caps. Rekkles is the one who shuts down Treatz. So pretty even. Looks like SK is going to back off, and Caps TP behind. I don't think he realized how many people were there. Maybe he thought it was just a 2v2 he was opting into. Jesiz shows up, 2Hour matches the TP, and all of a sudden it's a 4 versus 2 on the top side. So let's look at that again. Wunder, really good reactions on the ultimate to get unstoppable to avoid the stun. Now Caps didn't actually see Jesiz, I believe, and then when he drops the TP, 2Hours matches it. So now all of a sudden on this top side, it's almost like a 2v3. Jesiz gets the lock up onto Caps, doesn't manage to flash the E in time because of the buffer, and he just gets taken down.
An incredibly well-layered CC there by the side of SK. A single second more, and Caps might have been able to find the kill back in return onto Jesiz, but at the end of the day, still just the 1-for-1 trade here. But Treatz had a shutdown during that fight. Giving it over to Rekkles is a bit difficult. 2.5 items in now is the Tristana. Rekkles certainly getting stronger.
That's the thing with the Nidalee. She might be strong, but she's quite squishy in fights. If she gets locked up once, she's just going to die. She needs things like the Zhonya's to be able to live through extended fights, especially with things like the Electrocute. She's just a full-on burst. Normally you see Nidalee's maybe run the Conqueror to be more of an auto-attack supportive champion, stack it up, and then you can start to brawl a bit and skirmish, but this Electrocute build is just full burst, so if someone does get locked up, Treatz will do a lot of damage, but you can see what happens when he isn't actually able to find the angle. Rekkles can just shred through him.
It's also just very difficult because if you want to one-shot one of the squishier members on the team, you have to be willing to leap into a Viego, who can potentially stun you mid-leap, a Viktor who's going to lay down the gravity field, Rekkles, who of course can just use the Buster Shot to knock you back. So it's certainly not easy when it comes to execution for Treatz, but as you mentioned, the spear does damage. If it hits the target it needs to hit, he's going to kill somebody. So SK going to do their best to leverage that strength for now, as we're now about 21 minutes, 22 minutes into the game. Baron doesn't feel like it's really in either of these teams' sights quite yet, but G2 maybe can just play for the Dragon Soul here. As Wunder's getting more and more comfortable in this matchup. Dominance coming out. Jenax wants to turn it back as Fury, but Spectral Maw connects. Good healing coming in for Wunder. Ulti comes in. Jenax taken out, and that's the power of Viego in a side lane.
That is indeed the power of Viego. He has the blade, and he just wins out against Jenax, who was actually arguably further ahead than him. He was a level up, and he does have the item advantage, but Wunder wins out on the 1v1. You can see the blade doing so much work, and I think SK's only real winning factor was the side lane. The Renekton was ahead, but you can see Viego, despite being behind, actually wins out on the 1v1 because of the itemization and just a pure kit of the champion. So Wunder winning in bot, G2 have the winning push in mid and the push in top, and they're on Dragon Soul points. So SK need to find a fight before this dragon spawns, because I think if G2 get the setup similar to the third dragon, it's going to be really hard for them to find their way in.
Absolutely is. And of course, the waves are already pushed in, as mentioned before. Bot lane tier 2 went down as well, so G2 should have total control of the bottom side of the map if they want it. SK could look for a cross map on Baron. You'd have to be really aggressive to do it. Their composition not exactly great at taking the objective at this point in the game.
Yeah, that's a common trait. Soul for Baron. I don't think G2 will let that happen. They still have some wards scattered around that Baron area, sorry. And even then, at best, like the Ocean Soul for Baron is always going to be worth it for G2. If they can defend, at worst, they'll probably lose just a mid-tier one. I think they can defend their tier 2s at this point because of how far ahead they are individually and on their carries. You can see they're pushing into the jungle, taking away the red buff. Treatz actually able to secure that one. Mikyx uses the ultimate. I think they're just trying to force SK backwards so they can turn and burn this dragon.
G2 right now have total control of the pit, so SK would really have no business stealing this away. That said, I think Treatz is 3 for 3 on objective contests here up against Jankos in terms of smites. Most of them have been buffs, but maybe, just maybe, he can out-smite here in the individual exchange. Certainly Nidalee has more up or a burst damage to take that down, but maybe SK just want to go for the full-on fight. That's the Dominus now coming out. Marked up is Jenax. Cuts of blows coming in. Treatz just wants to finish that one, and it looks like they are going to be able to burn it down. Well played by the side of SK. If they can get out with their lives, it will absolutely be worthwhile. Jezu is just going to go down. In the meantime, Jenax in the back line buying space for the rest of the lineup. SK will retreat, but they're not going to give up the soul.
Yeah, somewhat sloppy execution there from G2, letting SK walk in and not actually fighting them. I think the reason they did that was because Mikyx didn't have the ultimate, and in the end, SK find their way into the Dragon Pit, but they lose 2 members, so I think G2 can just go towards the Baron now. Yes, you don't get the Ocean Soul, but maybe you can pick up the Baron. It's a 5v3. Rekkles is going in.
Going in. Mikyx using him as a taxi to leap forward now. Concussive blows coming in. Treatz going to be in trouble, but he doesn't get marked up. Now it's Wunder off to the side, fishing for the Spectral Maw. We'll find 2 hours. That's going to be 1 stack, 2 stack, 3. Immediately, Blade of the Rune King procs that one so fast. Cap's now following up in the meantime, and G2 can certainly turn for the Baron.
But now Jesiz is alive. He's coming out of base. Jezu should be able to lifesteal up a little bit, and Jenax has the TP, so they have 4 members instead of 3 now previously, but their jungler does have smite. 2 hours has TP in around 25 seconds, but G2 have already started it up. He needs vision on this if he wants to look for it.
4K, it's getting so low. Viego, Tristana just absolutely obliterate this objective. That's going to be Baron to G2. Treatz has to be careful here. Rekkles leaps out. 5 members of G2 making it out with Baron buff. This team now 6K in the lead.
Now SK might be able to get this mid-tier 1, which they've been trying to do all game long, because G2 are forced to back away. They're a little bit out of tempo here, and that's the problem with taking Baron, but it is a Baron buff. So trading Baron from mid-tier 1, obviously worth it. G2 should be able to regain map control after they come out of base now. And they're just so far ahead now on every single member. Treatz might get caught here again.
Treatz getting pushed out of the jungle, trying to get as much as he can before G2 are back out on the map in strength. And I think it's going to be a struggle here, Caedrel. They've got the Orianna for wave clear, but the Nidalee and the Ezreal are going to have a hard time landing skill shots when G2 can just stand behind these Baron-empowered minions and start to pressure in.
Yeah, they don't have that much wave clear, SK. Apart from the Orianna, really, they can't really push out these waves, especially when they're baroned up and Rekkles melts through these towers. And you can see G2 playing on 2 lanes. Caps is the split pusher in a sense, but I think he'll start to move with his team soon, or the team will move to him. So after that mid-tier 2 falls, they're going to move towards this top side. Now, commonly, the first Baron is for taking down tier 2s, and the second Baron is for breaking open the tier 3s and getting the inhibitors. But G2 are really far ahead, so maybe they can push that a little bit further. It's very risky, though, especially against things like Leona, Renekton. You get locked up on the tower, you are going to get taken down. But for now, G2 just playing on top and mid, ignoring bot waves because there's no real towers there apart from tier 3, but fighting mid.
Jenax now going to be in trouble, has to burn the dominance, but he still just gets burnt down. Wunder can now get the reset as they push in. The possession is still going to be available. Now can threaten the backline, double dash through the creeps, leap in onto Jezu. He's a Renekton and a Viego, an unstoppable but not unkillable. He is going to get burned down. Treatz finishes that one. Big shutdown onto Wunder. Maybe, just maybe, SK can defend the base, but G2 remain undeterred. The Baron buff backing them up. They will break the inhibitor, but Jankos getting shredded down. Treatz in the midst of everybody. He goes gold and just bought that Zanya's in time. Still going to get shredded, still going to get knocked down, and now G2 might just look for the win. Tier 2s be damned. They find the fight that they needed, and G2 are going to break the base.
Yeah, SK are the ones forcing the engage there, but Jezu just turned and say, what the hell are you doing? And they just managed to clear them up. They are going to be able to end the game on this Baron. And SK, I think that engage, they just went a little bit too desperate there. Dropping the mid inhibitor wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but G2 pick up a few kills. They're going to pick up the Nexus, and they're going to do classic G2 style where they farm some damage dealt on the Fountain. Quick 27-minute win there for G2. Didn't drop the ball too many times.
Yeah. Overall, big improvement for Wunder today compared to yesterday. Clearly very comfortable in that Viego. You can see why it was prioritized for him. Feels like a bit of an inevitable force in that side lane, even up against another powerful champion in the Renekton. G2, the expected favorites in this match, however, on the opposite side for SK. It was interesting. I like that they kept trying to force plays. I like that they were willing to put Treatz on a highly demanding champion like Nidalee. It didn't look all bad. It was difficult to play, most certainly, but I think some positive signs here from the side of SK Gaming.
Yeah, on the other side of the G2, I mean, you saw them playing for mid most of the game, right? Jungle support always going mid, Caps got a kill or two or even assist, and then at that point he was just 40, 50, 60 CS ahead, and he was just skyrocketing in that control mage matchup. Yeah,
absolutely paid off. Of course, you could vote for him if you want as your Kia player of the game. Your options are Caps, Rekkles, or Mikyx. A lot to choose from here. I think
Mickey and Rekkles did pretty well on face checks.
I'm just remembering that TP top from Caps.
I'm
not sure if that excludes
on the in scale a little bit.
A little bit. Hard to say. I mean, this is the immortal decision. This is why we're glad that we don't have to solo decide. I feel like we'd be roasted into oblivion. Instead, we're crowdsourcing our opinions. We're closing out the opening Super Meet, though, with a bang. It's Fnatic and Rogue. They're going to clash on the Rift in Game 5. Join us for a preview with Mikyx after this.
Personally, I'm kind of happy about Viego switching to jungle because I feel like people give him the benefit of the doubt just because he sounds really smart about the game, but that doesn't mean he's actually that smart about the game and about jungling.
Whip has the ult, he has to fight.
Good guns for upset, maybe, just maybe he can turn this one. Keep your eyes on the Aphelios assault. How much damage is it going to do? Not really much of anything.
Mad Lions obviously put a big stake in for some respect on their name, but Rogue still going to have to win a championship to earn that from the 7th and 8th champions of the LEC.
Oh, the shockwave!
That catches onto Rekkles. He's got no flash, he's got no heal. Oh no, slices and dices his way through. That is it. That is it done. And for the first time, Rogue will face Mad Lions for the crown.
LEC Super Week, where G2 just ended Super Week with a dominating win, and we're joined by young Mikyx for a closer look at that game and a preview of Rogue versus Fnatic. Hello, Mickey.
Hello.
When does the shift at the food truck start?
I don't know. Pretty soon. I think I don't have much time for this one. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Well, we'll keep it quick. We know you have places to be. In any case, though, 2-1 scoreline on the Super Week. What did you think about this game versus SK, which after the mid game seemed like it was a pretty done deal?
Yeah, this game kind of felt pretty easy from draft to game. I don't really know what they were trying to do. I was kind of confused both in draft and in game. Especially this, like, I don't know. I thought the jungle was here for sure, but I guess he was not. And yeah, overall, we just kind of like played pretty slow. Got stacked Drakes, the 4 Drake. We got stolen, but we got better out of it anyway because they died. So yeah.
So Mickey, this game was sure pretty one-sided for the most part, but it felt like your comp was, I'm gonna say, pretty standard. Now, the only reason why I bring that up is because back in your G2 dominance era, 2019 was kind of the era of flex picks. One of the big conversation points that we had coming into the split was flex picks are obviously very prevalent. G2 is a team that would thrive in that environment. So what do you think about the meta? What about today's composition? And what do you think about, like, do you think G2 has more available that they're just not using yet?
I mean, I guess it just depends. It comes down to what strong champs, that the champs we consider strong, are open. Like, for example, Udyr we picked on first 2, and he's not really a flex. Yeah. I guess Viego can be. So I mean, there's still flex picks, just sometimes it's banned. Like, for example, Akali was banned, Gwen was banned. Yeah, stuff like that. So, I mean, I guess this game we just didn't have any opportunities to flex stuff. I mean, Viego was still a flex, right?
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, the picks were pretty standard just because, I don't know, they pick pretty weird themselves. Like, I just pick, like, first pick Ezreal, and then they pick Leona on 3, so then I have, like, so many options for support. And yeah, I think if I just pick Braum, yeah, I don't think they can do much in lane and after lane, so yeah.
We had a discussion at the top of the day about how strong mid lane is and if it's the strongest lane or not. But there are a lot of possibilities with support as well right now in the meta. And I think also in just a simple way in which you have so much control over the game as a support because you can roam so early if you choose to do so and influence other lanes. Do you feel like you have, let's say, a lot to do and that you have a big influence on the game, or is this a wrong read from us?
Definitely a wrong read. There's still jungle in the game.
See, I told you.
But, you know, but now support is like pretty decent right now. I mean, I think people in general roam a lot more than they used to. Like, even last split, I think there's a big difference that I noticed in scrims. Like, sometimes you just meet in the top lane at like 5 minutes when both supports base. So that's pretty fun. And I do kind of like this playstyle. I don't know. I mean, I guess just a bit something new that people do, because people usually just, like, you know, maybe pass through mid, but then you check mid a bit and then you go bot and then you fight 2v2, you know. Now we just kind of like have like some 3v3 fights on top lane maybe, so that's pretty fun sometimes if you win at least.
Yeah, it's also pretty fun to watch, I gotta say. The key player of the game was Rekkles with 70% of the votes. Wow, that's pretty high percentage. Overall, Mickey, how do you look back on your Super Week and kind of the first games back under your belt?
I mean, against Mad, that game wasn't really in our control, but they kind of gave it away. Even though I felt like both teams played pretty well. And then yesterday, I felt like draft was really hard. And then, yeah, gameplay-wise, I mean, it was still winnable, right? It just, like, after I was loading into the game, I was like, what do we actually do this game? How do we actually win? But if we played some fights better, we could for sure win this game. It was just, like, a bit unlucky. But ultimately, 2-1, yeah, it's fine. There it goes.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be Fnatic. They're 0-2 so far, and they're up versus Rogue next one. So that's going to be a difficult one. Maybe I'll start with you, Vedi. What's your kind of read on Fnatic and the 0-2 week so far?
Well, they seem to have some good moments, yet they have a lot of bad ones. I feel like one of the key defining things for Fnatic last split was that their 2v2 bot lane was incredibly aggressive, potent, strong. And I think that Mickey can also comment on how whenever you play against that 2v2, they'd always fight you, look for kills, and look for plays. And I think that when you also had a player like Selfmade and Bwipo on the roster, they were just naturally very aggressive, naturally looking for more skirmishes in the early game. Now I feel like that they don't have that, yet they don't also like change it into anything else. They seem to be drafting these hard to execute comps where they're constantly looking to fight and then they're ending up losing a lot of those. So like I'm struggling to find any clear identity of what Fnatic has compared to what they used to, which is why I'm glad we have Mikyx, because maybe he can shed some more insight on, do you think Fnatic is going through a process of finding themselves, or do you think Fnatic do have a style that we just haven't seen yet?
I mean, judging from playing them a bit in scrims, I felt like they were pretty good. Their bot lane especially is still playing as well as last split. Maybe they play worse on stage, but I don't know exactly. I'll have to play against them. But I think overall, sometimes they just take fights that are not very worth or like too risky, so then they just lose, and then I guess that's what happened on stage. And I think also some drafts were maybe not the, well, I guess against Misfits, they had Akali, and apparently Akali is OP. Now she has a win rate. And then who did they play today? Vitality? No, they didn't play Vitality. They played...
No, they played Rogue today. Yesterday they played Misfits and Mad, and versus Mad they picked Olaf, Udyr, Orianna, Kog'Maw, Lulu.
Oh yeah, that game. They also lost to Akali.
Yeah.
Maybe the Akali, they're actually just gonna go 16-2.
Yeah,
I don't think their score represents their skill. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean they have started bad before. They're up versus Rogue now. Of course, the big story with Rogue is they were the finalist. Do you think the lasting power of Rogue, since they haven't changed anything in the roster from spring, is there? Do you count on them as like a phenomenal opponent again for this entire season from what you've seen perhaps in scrims and on stage so far?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just in general, they're a team that's all around very consistent, all their players, and it's kind of expected they're going to do well. I think they're always going to do well against teams that are worse than them. I think they only might struggle against like Mad, us, maybe even Fnatic today. But yeah, overall, I expect them to be at the top by the end of the split as well. They're pretty consistent.
You say they may struggle against Fnatic today. What makes you say that? What lane are you, or what do you have in mind?
I mean, I think Fnatic is just like, you know, sometimes they just have like a good game on their players and they just absolutely smurf it. Like I think their bot lane can be much better than Rogue's bot lane. I think, I mean, the rest of the lanes kind of even, but I think the Weeble Healy could just take over, like the support jungle synergy that they have. So yeah, could go either way, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun game as well. Thank you so much for your insights, Mickey. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go take a quick break, but after that we'll see Rogue versus Fnatic. Rogue, who have dominated Super Week so far, and Fnatic and Bwipo still looking for the right formula to get the win. We'll be right back.